Park Jin wiped sweat from his forehead as he walked through the thick forest of Neris 7. The two suns beat down through the trees, making the air hot and sticky. He stopped to check his device, which showed many life forms nearby. His cat, Bomi, walked close to his feet. "What do you think, Bomi? Will we find something new today?" Park asked. Bomi was not a normal cat. She had been changed by science to be smarter and live longer. Her fur was dark gray with white paws, and her eyes were bright yellow. She meowed and looked ahead, as if she knew where to go. Park smiled and followed her. He had been on this planet for 3 years now. Earth had sent him and 50 other people to study Neris 7 and see if more humans could live here one day. Park's job was to study the animals, especially the ones that looked like snakes and lizards. "The test samples should be just ahead," he said, checking his map. He had set up cameras and sensors in this area last week. They would tell him about the strange snake-like creatures he had found. The path opened to a small clearing where Park had his equipment. Bomi jumped onto a rock and watched as Park checked his devices. His eyes lit up as he saw the data. "This is amazing, Bomi," he said. "These creatures are changing their patterns. Look at how they move together, almost like they're talking to each other." Park had found 5 different kinds of python-like creatures on Neris 7. They were bigger than earth snakes, some as long as a car. They had scales that changed color and strange bumps on their heads that might help them sense heat or movement. He sat on a fallen tree and opened his computer. Bomi jumped down and rubbed against his leg, purring. Park scratched behind her ears as he entered his notes. "The largest one, the blue-scaled python, seems to be the smartest," he said. "See how it leads the others. And look at this brain scan. It's much more complex than we thought." Bomi's ears suddenly perked up. She looked to the east and made a low growling sound. "What is it, girl?" Park asked, reaching for his scanner. The device beeped, showing movement about 50 meters away. Probably just another forest animal. "Let's check it out after I finish these notes." As Park worked, he didn't notice how the ground under him had changed. Small cracks had formed in the dirt, making a pattern that wasn't natural. Bomi noticed, though. She pawed at the ground and meowed loudly. "Just a minute," Park said, focused on his work. The colony base called on his radio. "Park Jin, this is base. Are you feeling the ground shake? Our sensors show strange activity in your area." Park finally noticed the small trembles. "Yes, I feel it now. Not a normal quake pattern." "Please return to base," the voice said. "Lieutenant Kim wants all researchers inside until we know what's happening." "I'll head back soon," Park replied. "But first I want to check something." He looked at his scanner again. The ground was moving in a way that suggested tunnels underneath. Park's heart beat faster. This could be a big discovery. "Bomi, we might have found something important," he said, packing his equipment. "If there are tunnels down there, the pythons might be more advanced than we thought. They might have made homes underground." Bomi seemed unsure. She stayed close to Park, her tail moving back and forth in worry. As they walked toward the movement his scanner had found, Park took pictures and samples. The trees here were different, with strange marks on them. Some looked like they had been cut with tools. "This is getting more interesting," Park said. "If these creatures are using tools, they might be as smart as dolphins or apes." Bomi suddenly stopped and hissed at something ahead. "What's wrong?" Park asked, looking up from his scanner. Through the trees, something large moved. Park froze. A massive blue-scaled python slithered between 2 trees, its head raised high above the ground. It was bigger than any he had seen before, at least 20 feet long. Park slowly reached for his camera. "Bomi, stay still," he whispered. The python's head turned toward them. Its eyes were not like a normal snake's. They looked smart, aware. It stared at Park for a long moment, then slid away into the forest. Park let out a breath he didn't know he was holding. "Did you see that, Bomi? It was watching us. Really watching us." Park's hands shook as he made a new note in his computer. We need to learn more about these creatures. Something big is happening here. Bomi neoed and looked toward the colony base, as if telling Park they should go. "Ok, we'll head back," he said. "But we're coming back tomorrow. With better equipment." As they walked back to the colony, the ground trembled again. Park didn't notice the shadow following them through the trees. The colony base was busy when Park Jin arrived. People walked quickly, carrying equipment and talking in worried voices. Park went straight to the main building where Lieutenant Kim Dot waited. Lieutenant Kim was a tall man with short black hair and serious eyes. He looked at Park with concern. "You felt the ground shake?" Lieutenant Kim asked. "Yes," Park said, putting his samples on the table. "And I found something strange. I think there might be tunnels under the forest." Lieutenant Kim frowned. "Tunnels? Made by what?" Park opened his computer and showed the pictures and data. "The python creatures I've been studying. I think they're smarter than we thought. Look at this one." He pointed to a picture of the big blue python. "It watched me. Not like an animal, but like it was thinking." Bomi jumped onto the table and sat next to the computer. She seemed interested in the pictures too. Lieutenant Kim said, not looking convinced. "Maybe. But these ground shakes worry me. If there are tunnels, they might not be safe." "I need to see these tunnels," Park said. "If these pythons made them, it would be a huge discovery." Lieutenant Kim thought for a moment. "I can't let you go alone. It's too dangerous." "I won't be alone," Park said, petting Bomi. "She always comes with me. And I'll take safety gear and stay in radio contact." After talking more, Lieutenant Kim agreed. "You can go tomorrow, but take these." He gave Park a new radio and a small gun that could shoot a sleeping drug, just in case. That night, Park couldn't sleep. He sat at his desk, looking at his data. Bomi was acting strange too. She kept going to the window and looking toward the forest. "You feel it too, don't you?" Park asked her. "Something's happening out there." In the morning, Park packed his bag with food, water, tools, and the safety gear from Lieutenant Kim. Bomi watched from the bed, her tail moving back and forth. "Ready for an adventure?" Park asked. Bomi meowed and jumped down, ready to follow. They left the base early, when the first sun was just rising. The forest was quiet except for the small sounds of tiny animals. Park followed his scanner toward the place where he had seen the big python. After walking for an hour, they'd reached a new area. The trees here were different, with strange marks on them. The ground had more cracks, making patterns like circles and lines. "This is it," Park said, checking his scanner. "The tunnel should be right below us." He took out a small drill and made a hole in the ground. Then he put in a tiny camera that could go deep into the earth. On his screen, he could see the camera moving down. "Look at this, Bomi," Park said excitedly. The camera showed a big open space under the ground. It wasn't just a tunnel, but a huge room with smooth walls. The walls had marks on them that looked like writing or pictures. "This isn't natural," Park whispered. "Something made this. Something smart." Bowman suddenly stood up straight, her ears forward. She made a low sound in her throat. "What is it?" Park asked, looking around. Then he felt it. The ground was shaking again, but stronger this time. A loud crack came from under them, and before Park could move, the ground opened up. Park and Bomi fell into darkness. When Park opened his eyes, he was lying on a smooth stone floor. His head hurt, but nothing seemed broken. His bag was next to him, and his light was still working. "Bomi," he called, worried. "Bomi, where are you?" A soft meow came from nearby. Park shined his light and saw Bomi walking toward him. She seemed okay. Park stood up slowly and looked around. They were in a huge room, just like he had seen on his camera, but it was much bigger than he thought. The walls went up so high that his light couldn't reach the top. "Where are we?" he said, his voice echoing. Park tried his radio, but it didn't work so far underground. He was about to check his scanner when Bomi hissed loudly. Park turned and froze. At the far end of the room, something was moving toward them. Something big. The blue-scaled python from the forest slid into the light, but now Park could see it clearly. It wasn't just a snake. On its head were small bumps that glowed with a soft blue light, and around its neck was something that looked like a metal collar with strange symbols. "It's wearing technology," Park whispered in shock. The python stopped and raised its head high. Its eyes, intelligent and watching, stared directly at Park. Then it made a sound that was not animal at all. It sounded like words. Park Jin stood very still. The blue python with the metal collar moved closer. Its tongue flicked out, tasting the air. The strange bumps on its head glowed brighter. "Hello," Park said softly. "We come in peace." The python tilted its head, as if it was listening. Then it made more sounds, like words but not in any human language. Park slowly reached for his bag. "I'm just getting my translator," he said, moving carefully. He pulled out a small device he used to record and analyze animal sounds. Bomi stayed close to Park's feet, her tail puffed up big. She watched the python with wide eyes. The room they were in was amazing. Now that Park looked around more, he could see that the walls had designs carved into them. There were pictures of snake-like creatures and round objects that might be planets or suns. "This is a building," Park said in wonder. "Not a cave. Someone built this." The python made another sound, then slithered to the side. It went to a wall and touched it with its nose. Part of the wall lit up with a blue glow. "It's showing us something," Park whispered. He took small steps toward the wall, keeping his movement slow. The blue light on the wall formed shapes that looked like a map. Park could see what looked like the forest above, and the human colony. There were red dots moving around. "Those are us," Park said. "The humans. It's tracking us." The python turned its head to Park again. Its eyes seemed to ask a question. Park pointed to himself. "Human," he said clearly. "I am a human. From Earth." He made a round shape with his hands, trying to show a planet. The python's collar made a clicking sound. Then, to Park's shock, it spoke. "Human. Earth." The voice was strange, like metal scraping, but the words were clear. "Yes," Park said excitedly. "Your collar, it's a translator." "Intruder," the python said. "Danger to the sleeping ones." Park shook his head. "No, no danger. We are peaceful. We are scientists, learning about your world." The python moved quickly, circling around until it was between Park and the way out. Its body was huge, thicker than Park's leg. "You wake the deep sleepers. You bring noise and change." The python's voice got harder. "This cannot be." Park felt a chill. He reached down to his belt, where Lieutenant Kim's tranquilizer gun was attached. "We can talk about this," Park said. "We can find a way to live together." Bulma suddenly let out a loud warning meow. She jumped in front of Park, her back arched. The python's eyes narrowed. "The small one sees truth," it said. "I am guardian. I protect the elders who sleep below. Your kind brings danger." "Please," Park said. "We didn't know anyone was here. We can leave this area." "Too late," the guardian said. "The protocol is clear. Threat must be removed." The python moved so fast that Park barely saw it. It lunged forward, its huge mouth open. Park grabbed Bomi and jumped to the side. He hit the ground hard but rolled back to his feet. He pulled out the tranquilizer gun and fired. The dart hit the python's side, but it seemed to have no effect. "Your sting is nothing," the guardian said. "I am made to resist all poisons." Park backed away, looking for another exit. There was a dark opening on the far side of the room. "Bomi, run," Park shouted, pointing to the opening. Bomi ran, but not toward the exit. She ran at the python, hissing and spitting. Her claws slashed at the python's face, surprising it. Park used this moment to hit the emergency button on his radio. It might not send his voice this far underground, but it would send an alert signal to the base. The Guardian shook Bomi off. The cat landed on her feet and ran back to Park's side. "You show courage," the Guardian said, "but it changes nothing." The room suddenly filled with light as more wall panels lit up. Park saw images of other pythons, hundreds of them, in rooms below. "You see now," the Guardian said, "we are many, and the elders sleep just below. Your kind threatens the Great Awakening." "What is the Great Awakening?" Park asked, still looking for a way out. "The return of those who seeded this world," the Guardian said. "They sleep until the stars align. We guard their sleep." The python's body tensed, ready to strike again. "And you," it said, "will not leave this place." Park Jin's heart beat fast as the Guardian python moved closer. He looked around the room for anything he could use to defend himself. "I don't want to fight you," Park said, backing away slowly. "We can find another way." "There is no other way," the Guardian replied. Its voice from the collar sounded cold. "The elders must not be disturbed." Park saw a metal pole on the ground near the wall. It looked like it had broken off from something long ago. He moved toward it, keeping his eyes on the python. "What if we promised to stay away from this place?" Park asked. "We could mark it as forbidden on our maps." The Guardian's blue head bumps glowed brighter. "Your kind spreads. You would not stay away. All records show this." Park reached the pole and grabbed it. It was heavy but strong. "You've seen other humans before, on other worlds." "Many worlds, many times." The Guardian's body tensed. "Always the same. You destroy." The python moved suddenly, striking at Park. He swung the pole just in time, hitting the python's head. The Guardian pulled back, surprised. Bomi darted forward again, claws out. She scratched at the python's tail, then jumped away before it could catch her. Park used this moment to look at his scanner. It showed a tunnel leading up to the surface about 20 meters away. If they could reach it. "Bomi," Park called. "This way." The cat understood and ran toward Park, but the Guardian was too fast. It moved its long body in a circle around them, cutting off their escape. "You have spirit," the Guardian said, "but you will not leave. Others of your kind must not know about the elders." Park remembered something in his bag. He had collected samples from the forest, including special plants that gave off strong smells. He reached in and pulled out a small container. The Guardian struck again. This time, its head hit Park hard in the side. Pain shot through his body as he fell to the ground. The pole fell from his hands. "Park." The radio suddenly crackled to life. It was Lieutenant Kim's voice. "Park, we got your emergency signal. Where are you?" The python's head turned toward the sound of the radio. Park used this moment to open the container and throw the plants at the Guardian's face. The strong smell filled the air. The Guardian shook its head wildly, trying to clear its sense of smell. Pythons use their tongues to smell, and this plant was too strong for them. "Kim," Park shouted into the radio. "Underground tunnels. Big python creatures. They're intelligent." The radio crackled again, but Park couldn't hear the words. The Guardian had recovered and was moving toward him again, angry now. "You fight well for a soft one," the Guardian said. "But now I end this." Park reached into his pocket and pulled out a small tube. It was something he had been working on in his lab, a chemical marker that would stick to animal skin. It glowed under special light, helping him track animals in the forest. As the Guardian lunged at him, Park threw himself forward. He stabbed the tube into the python's scales and pushed the plunger, injecting the marker. The Guardian hissed in pain and wrapped its body around Park. He felt his ribs crack as the python squeezed. "Bomi, run," Park gasped. "Get to the tunnel. Lead them here." Bomi didn't run. She jumped onto the Guardian's back and bit hard into the area where Park had injected the marker. The python loosened its grip slightly, distracted by the pain. Park reached for his belt and pulled out a small device. It was his lab tool, used to activate chemical reactions in his samples. He pressed it against the spot where he had injected the marker. "This will help them find you," Park whispered. He pressed the button. The chemical marker began to glow bright green. It would now stay active for days, making the Guardian easy to track. The python realized what Park had done and tightened its grip again. Park could hardly breathe. "Your kind will not find this place," the Guardian said. "They will now," Park said with his last breath. "And they'll know what happened." The last thing Park saw was Bomy's yellow eyes watching him from the shadows. Then everything went dark. Something strange happened as Park Jin took his final breath. The small chip in his neck, the one all scientists wore to back up their research data, began to glow. At the same moment, the matching chip in Bomy's collar glowed too. The Guardian python released Park's body, letting it fall to the ground. It turned its attention to Bomy, who stood with her back arched, fur standing on end. "Small creature," the Guardian said, "you will join your master now." But Bomy didn't run or attack. She stood still, her yellow eyes wide. The chip in her collar pulsed with light, sending data into her brain. Park's research team had designed these chips to connect humans and their animals, making it easier to work together. But they never expected what happened next. Pieces of Park's memories, thoughts, and knowledge flowed into Bomy's mind. Not his full self, but parts of him, enough to change her forever. Bomy blinked. She looked at Park's body, then at the python. Something new showed in her eyes, not just animal instinct, but understanding. The cat turned and ran, faster than the Guardian could follow. She knew the tunnels now, from Park's memories. She knew where to go. "You cannot escape," the Guardian called after her. "This place has many protectors." Bomy found the tunnel that Park had seen on his scanner. It led upward, toward the surface. She climbed quickly, using her claws on the rough walls. Above ground, Lieutenant Kim and a team of colony security officers were searching the forest. "The signal came from somewhere here," Kim said, checking his device. "But I can't pinpoint it." One of the officers pointed. "Look, there's something coming out of the ground." Bomy emerged from a small hole, covered in dirt. She ran straight to Lieutenant Kim and meowed loudly. "It's Park's cat," Kim said, picking her up. "Where's Park, little one?" Bomy jumped from his arms and ran a few steps toward the hole, then looked back at Kim. She did this again and again. "She wants us to follow her," an officer said. Kim nodded. "Let's go, but be careful." They followed Bomy to the hole. It was too small for humans to enter. Kim ordered his team to dig around it, making it wider. As they worked, Bomy sat nearby, watching. Her behavior was strange. She kept looking at Park's research equipment that one officer was carrying. "What's wrong with the cat?" someone asked. "She's acting weird." Lieutenant Kim watched Bomy carefully. "I don't know. But Park said these cats were special. Enhanced." When the hole was big enough, Kim went in first, followed by two officers. Bomy led the way, moving confidently through the dark tunnel. They reached the large room where Park had died. His body lay on the floor, still and cold. The room was empty otherwise. The Guardian python was gone. "No," Kim whispered, kneeling beside Park. "We're too late." Bomy went to Park's body and touched his face with her paw. Then she walked to his bag and pawed at it, meowing. Kim opened the bag and found Park's computer. When he turned it on, it asked for a password. "We need to get his data," Kim said. "But I don't know his password." To everyone's surprise, Bomy stepped on the keyboard. Her paws hit specific keys, typing out a word, NERIS7. The computer unlocked. "How did she?" An officer began, but stopped in shock. Kim stared at the cat. "That's impossible. Unless..." He remembered what Park had told him about the neural chips. They were meant to share basic information and location data between a scientist and their animal companion. but Park had been working on improving them, making the connection stronger. "Something of Park is in her," Kim said quietly. Some part of him survived in Bolmy. On the computer screen, a file opened by itself. It showed a map of the underground complex they were in, with a blinking green dot moving away from their location. "The Guardian," Kim said. "Park must have marked it somehow." Bolmy put her paw on the screen, touching the green dot. Her eyes showed something that Kim had never seen in an animal before. Purpose. Revenge. "We need to get back to the colony," Kim said, picking up Park's body, "and bring all his research. Something big is happening here." As they made their way back to the surface, Bolmy kept looking back at the tunnel. The chip in her collar glowed faintly in the darkness. Back at the colony, everyone was sad about Park Jin's death. They put his body in a special room and held a small ceremony for him. Lieutenant Kim Dai stood at the front and spoke about Park's bravery. "He died learning about this world," Kim said. "He gave his life to warn us about the danger below." After the ceremony, Kim went to Park's lab. Bolmy was there, sitting on Park's chair. Her eyes followed Kim as he moved around the room. "You're different now, aren't you?" Kim said to the cat. Bolmy jumped onto Park's desk and pawed at his computer. Kim turned it on, and again, Bolmy typed the password with her paws. "This is amazing," Kim said, watching the screen light up. For the next 3 days, Bolmy hardly slept. She stayed at the computer, opening files and looking at data. Sometimes she would type things, not full words, but letters and numbers that seemed to mean something. Kim brought in Lee Sun, the colony's tech expert, to watch Bolmy and try to understand what she was doing. "It's like she's searching for something," Lee said, watching the cat move through Park's files. "But her brain isn't fully human. She can't tell us what she wants." On the 4th day, Bolmy did something new. She opened a map program and zoomed in on an area of the forest. Then she put her paw on a spot and meowed loudly. "She found something," Kim said. He looked closer at the screen. "That's about 5 kilometers east of where we found Park." "Could be another entrance to the tunnels," Lee suggested. Kim nodded. "Or maybe where the python went." He remembered the green dot on Park's computer, the tracking marker. "Check if any of our scanners can detect Park's chemical marker," he told Lee. Lee worked on a different computer for a few minutes. "Yes," he finally said. "If we adjust our scanners to this frequency, we should be able to see it." Kim decided to take a small team to check the area Bolmy had marked. He was surprised when the cat jumped into his bag as he was preparing to leave. "You want to come too?" he asked. Bolmy meowed and wouldn't get out of the bag. "Fine," Kim said, "but you stay close to me." The team left early the next morning. They carried stronger weapons this time, not just tranquilizers, but real guns. Kim hoped they wouldn't need to use them. As they got closer to the spot on the map, their scanner began to beep. The green marker that Park had put on the guardian python was showing up. "It's here somewhere," Kim whispered to his team. "Stay alert." Bolmy suddenly jumped from Kim's bag and ran ahead. "Bolmy, wait," Kim called, but the cat didn't stop. They followed Bolmy through thick trees until they reached a small clearing. In the middle was a large rock with strange markings on it. The scanner beeped faster. "The python must be nearby," one of the officers said, looking around nervously. Bolmy went to the rock and scratched at it. Kim looked closer and saw that part of the rock was not real stone. It was a hidden door. Just then, the ground began to shake. Trees swayed and birds flew away in fear. Another quake. Someone shouted. But this was different. The shaking was getting stronger, not weaker. Something was happening. The hidden door in the rock suddenly opened. Out slithered the guardian python, its blue scales shining in the sunlight. The green marker on its side glowed brightly, showing where Park had injected it. "Humans," the guardian said, its collar translating. "You return." Unwise. Kim and his team raised their weapons. But before anyone could fire, Bolmy did something strange. She walked right up to the python and sat down in front of it. The Guardian's head moved down to look at the cat. For a long moment, neither moved. "This one is changed," the Guardian finally said. "It carries human thought patterns. Part of Park is in her," Kim said. "You killed him, but not all of him died." The python's head bumps glowed. Unexpected. The soft ones have never done this before. Bomi stood up and walked in a circle around the python. Her tail was up, her eyes never leaving the creature that had killed Park. "What does she want?" Kim asked. The Guardian watched Bomi carefully. "Revenge," it said. "She hunts me, as I hunted her master." The ground shook again, harder this time. From the open door came sounds of movement. Many bodies sliding across stone. More pythons, an officer whispered in fear. "The Great Awakening begins," the Guardian said. "The elders stir in their sleep. Your colony is in danger, humans." Bomi turned to Kim and meowed loudly, then looked back at the python. "I think," Kim said slowly, "she wants us to work together." The Guardian python looked at Lieutenant Kim Da with cold eyes. "Work together? With humans?" Its voice from the collar sounded angry. "Impossible." "Listen," Kim said, lowering his weapon. "We didn't come to your world to hurt anyone. We didn't know about your elders or the Great Awakening." The ground shook again. From the hidden door, 2 more pythons appeared. They were smaller than the Guardian, but still very large. They had similar collars around their necks. "What's happening?" Kim asked. "The vibrations from your machines," the Guardian said. "They have disturbed the deep sleep of the elders. Now the cycle is broken. They wake too soon." Bomi moved between Kim and the Guardian. She looked back and forth between them, then sat down and made a strange sound. Not a normal cat sound, but almost like she was trying to speak. "Your colony must leave this world," the Guardian said, "or be destroyed when the elders fully wake." "We can't just leave," Kim said. "We have over 50 people here, and our ship won't return for another year." The 2 smaller pythons moved closer, their bodies tense. Kim's team raised their weapons again. Bomi suddenly jumped onto Park's computer, which Kim had brought in his bag. She typed quickly, "Park data SHOW is solution." Everyone stared in shock. "Did she just?" one of the officers began. "Yes," Kim said. "Show us, Bomi." The cat opened files on the computer. Pictures appeared showing the python's body structure and the strange bumps on their heads. Park had written notes about them. "Energy sensors. Can detect vibrations from miles away. Possibly can be blocked or redirected." Park was working on a way to shield our machinery, Kim realized. "To make it quiet to your sensors." The Guardian moved closer to see the screen. "The one who died." He understood. "He was trying to," Kim said. "He didn't want to hurt your people. He wanted to learn about you." Bomi typed again. "Park respect life, all kinds." The Guardian was silent for a long moment. Then it spoke to the other pythons in their own language. They seemed to argue, their head bumps flashing different colors. Finally, the Guardian turned back to Kim. "We will give you 7 days to prove you can be silent. If you cannot, you must leave or die." Kim nodded. "We'll need to see more of Park's research, and we'll need to know more about your elders and what disturbs them." "I will show you," the Guardian said, "but not all. Some secrets must remain hidden." Bomi jumped down from the computer and went to the Guardian. She put one paw on its scales, as if making a promise. The Guardian lowered its head until it was eye to eye with Bomi. "Strange little one," it said. "You are neither cat nor human now. What are you?" Bomi just looked back at the python, her yellow eyes showing intelligence no cat should have. Kim ordered most of his team to return to the colony and bring back the colony's top scientists. Then he, Bomi, and one officer followed the Guardian through the hidden door into the tunnels. They walked for a long time, going deeper than where Park had died. The tunnels became larger and smoother. The walls were covered with carvings and lights. "How old is all this?" Kim asked in wonder. Older than your kind, the guardian said. The elders came to this world when your ancestors still lived in caves. They reached a huge round room with a glass floor. Below the glass, Kim could see hundreds of large snake-like creatures, but they were different from the guardians. They were pale white and much bigger. They lay coiled together, not moving except for slow breathing. The elders, the guardian said with respect in its voice. They sleep until the 3 moons align. Then they wake and travel to the next world. They're leaving, Kim asked. When the time is right. But your machines make vibrations that disturb their sleep cycle. They will wake angry and confused. Bomi went to the glass and put her paw on it. She seemed sad looking at the sleeping elders. She understands, the guardian said, watching Bomi. The one who died. Part of him lives in her. He gave her his knowledge. And his feelings too, I think, Kim said quietly. Park loved learning about new life. He would have been amazed by all this. The guardian's head bumps changed to a soft blue color. Perhaps I judged too quickly. The one who died fought well. With honor. Bomi looked up at the guardian, her tail moving slowly back and forth. Her eyes seemed to say, yes, but I still haven't forgotten what you did to him. 3 days passed quickly. The colony scientists worked day and night on Park Jin's ideas. They built special machines to reduce the vibrations from their equipment. Lee Sun, the tech expert, led the team. Park was close to solving this, Lee told Lieutenant Kim. His notes show how to change our power systems to make them quieter. Kim nodded, looking at Boma who sat nearby. The cat had not left Park's lab since they returned from seeing the elders. She watched everything the scientists did, sometimes typing on Park's computer to show them important files. How much time do we have left? Lee asked. 4 days, Kim said. The guardian says the elders are getting more restless. That night, something strange happened. Kim was sleeping in his room when a noise woke him up. He opened his eyes to see Bomi sitting on his chest, staring at him. What is it? He asked, sitting up. Bomi jumped down and went to the door. She wanted Kim to follow. Kim got dressed quickly and followed the cat. She led him to Park's lab, went to the computer, and typed, "Need go BKK to TUNEL now." Now. In the middle of the night, Kim asked, "Why?" Bomi typed, "Guardian planning something bad." Kim felt a chill. "Are you sure?" Bomi typed, "Park me more eyes. Lies sometimes." Kim didn't know what to do. Could he trust a cat with part of a dead man's memories? But Bomi had been right about everything so far. "Okay," he said, "but we need help." He called 2 security officers, and they prepared their equipment. They took Park's latest shield device, which was supposed to hide their vibrations from the pythons. An hour later, they were walking through the forest toward the hidden door in the rock. The night was dark, with only one of the planet's 3 moons in the sky. The other 2 moons will rise in 4 days, Kim told his team. That's when the elders are supposed to wake naturally. When they reached the hidden door, it was open. Bomi didn't wait. She ran straight inside. Kim and his team followed, turning on their lights. The tunnels were different now. There were more lights on the walls, and Kim could hear distant sounds like machinery working. "They're preparing for something," one officer whispered. They went deeper, following Bomi. The cat seemed to know exactly where to go. Soon they reached a new room Kim hadn't seen before. It was filled with strange metal objects and flashing lights. "What is this place?" Kim wondered. Bomi hid behind a large container and signaled for them to do the same. A moment later, the guardian python entered the room, followed by 3 others. The guardian spoke in its own language, then in the translated voice. "The humans cannot be trusted. Their shields are temporary. Once the elders leave, they will expand across our world." Another python replied, "But the agreement gave them 7 days. Agreements with humans are meaningless. The Guardian said, I have seen their kind before. They say one thing and do another. We will activate the defense system tonight. The vibrations will drive the humans away or kill them. Kim looked at Bomi in shock. She had been right. We need to warn the colony, he whispered to his team. But as they turned to leave, Kim knocked over a small object. It fell with a loud clang. The pythons turned toward the sound. Intruders. The Guardian hissed. Kim and his team jumped up, weapons ready. We heard everything, Kim said. You promised us 7 days. The Guardian's head bumps turned red with anger. You should not be here, human. Your shields will not work, one of the other pythons said. The elders will destroy you when they wake. We can make them work, Kim argued. Park Jin figured it out. We just need more time. The Guardian moved closer. The one who died was different. But he is gone. Not completely, Kim said. As if on cue, Bomi stepped forward, facing the Guardian directly. Her back was arched, her tail straight up. She looked bigger somehow, braver. The Guardian looked down at the cat. Small one, you cannot change what must happen. Bomi hissed loudly. Then she did something no one expected. She jumped straight at the Guardian's face, claws out. The Guardian tried to dodge, but Bomi was too quick. Her claws scratched the python's eye, making it rear back in pain. Now, Kim shouted to his team. The shield device. One officer activated Park's shield device. It made a low humming sound, creating a bubble around them that blocked vibrations. The other pythons moved to attack, but the Guardian stopped them. Wait, it said, still watching Bomi, who had landed on her feet and was ready to jump again. The small one fights for her dead master, the Guardian said, like I fight for the elders. Bomi stood tall, her yellow eyes fixed on the Guardian. In that moment, it was clear to everyone that something of Park Jin lived on in his cat, and that something wasn't going to let his killer walk away. The room was silent. Bomi stood facing the Guardian python, her small body tense and ready to attack again. Blood dripped from the Guardian's eye where Bomi's claws had struck. This cannot be settled with fighting, Lieutenant Kim Dae said, stepping forward. We need to talk. The Guardian looked at Kim, then back at Bomi. The small one has changed. She carries more than just memories now. Kim watched as Bomi walked to Park's computer that they had brought with them. She typed quickly, show them Park plan. Kim opened the files that Park Jin had been working on before he died. Park found a way for both our peoples to live here peacefully, he explained. Its shield technology can keep our colony completely silent to your sensors. The Guardian moved closer to see the screen. Why would the one who died help us after I attacked him? Because that's who Park was, Kim said. He respected all life, even yours. Bomi typed again. Park Daid for NOWLEG, not for hate. The other pythons gathered around, their head bumps changing colors as they talked in their own language. Finally, one of them spoke through its collar. The shields, they would truly work. Yes, Kim said. We've already built a small version. He pointed to the device humming nearby. That's why you can't feel our vibrations right now. The Guardian was quiet for a long time. Then it lowered its head until it was eye to eye with Bomi. You could have killed me just now. Your claws were close to my brain. Bomi sat down, her tail wrapping around her feet. Her eyes never left the Guardian. I understand now, the Guardian said. The one who died. Park Jin. His spirit lives in you. Not just his memories, but his heart. Kim watched in amazement as the Guardian did something unexpected. It bowed its head to Bomi. I was wrong to kill him, the Guardian said. I acted too quickly, out of fear. The room was silent again. Then Bomi did something even more surprising. She walked forward and gently touched her paw to the Guardian's wounded eye. It was not an attack this time, but almost like forgiveness. We will try your shields, the Guardian announced. If they work, the colony may stay in the agreed area. 4 days later, the entire colony gathered on a hill outside their base. The 3 moons of Neris 7 were aligned in the night sky, glowing brightly. The ground began to shake, but not violently. It was a steady, rhythmic movement. From the forest, a procession of guardian pythons emerged, led by the one with the scared eye. Behind them came something that made everyone gasp. Huge, white, snake-like creatures, 3 times the size of the guardians, moved slowly across the land. Their scales shimmered in the moonlight. "The elders," Kim whispered. The colony's shields were working perfectly. The elders moved past the human settlement as if it wasn't there, heading toward a large plain beyond. Bomi sat at the front of the human group, watching everything with her strange, knowing eyes. The guardian with the scared eye approached her. "They journey to the stars now," it explained. "When they return in 1,000 years, will your kind still be here?" Kim answered, "If we are, I hope we'll have learned to live in peace with your world." The guardian nodded. "The one who died taught us that such things are possible. Through his small companion, his wisdom lives on." As the elders gathered on the plain, their bodies began to glow. Lights surrounded them, growing brighter and brighter until the humans had to look away. When they looked back, the elders were gone. "They travel between stars," the guardian explained. "They will find a new world to seed with life, as they did here long ago." In the days that followed, the humans and the guardians made a formal treaty. The pythons would allow the colony to stay in their designated area, as long as they used Park's shield technology. On the spot where Park Jin had died, they built a memorial. Humans and guardians worked together to create it. It was a simple stone pillar with words in both human and python language. Lieutenant Kim stood beside it on the day it was finished, reading the words aloud. "Here fell Park Jin, who died seeking knowledge and understanding. His spirit lives on in those he left behind. He died fighting a python. His cat didn't let it walk away." Beside the memorial, Bomi sat with the guardian. They were no longer enemies but something new, representatives of 2 worlds finding a way to exist together. Bomi looked up at the stars, her yellow eyes reflecting the light. Somewhere in those eyes was Park Jin, seeing his greatest wish come true. Different forms of life learning from each other, growing beyond fear and mistrust. And somewhere, perhaps, he was proud of the small cat who had carried his legacy forward.